2016 has been a bit of a bumper year for games, and nobody can quite work out why. Maybe it's something in the code. Maybe it's because there weren't so many good games around last year, and developers have had nothing fun to distract them from making better ones. Whatever the case, we've popped out the other end of 2016 clutching a bunch of great games, like a newborn babe who's just been to GameStop in the womb. Here are the very best, one after the other. If you've got any goodwill left over by the end, remember to subscribe for more videos.
It doesn't really feel right to call Xcom 2 a sequel. What was once an Earth defense story is now a tale of desperate guerrilla resistance in which the aliens have taken over, building fancy cities and confining those who don't comply to the countryside. What's more, the aliens are no longer little grey men, but snake people the size of drain pipes will squeeze you breathless as soon as look at you. It makes the enemy unknown once more. You know, like in the subtitle. Anyway, the point is you'll wet yourself.
If you've made it to Christmas with your employment status intact, you're almost certainly better at your job than Firewatch protagonist Henry is. His job consists of sitting in a tower and watching a forest to make sure it doesn't set on fire. So what does he do? He stumbles through the woods chasing conspiracy theories instead. The Wyoming State Forestry Division's loss is our gain though, and Firewatch makes a great conversational thriller, unlike anything else released this year.
After two equally grueling Souls games, we were really wondering what else Hidetaka Miyazaki could possibly throw at us. But then Dark Souls 3 graced our gamepads and we found ourselves facing off against a gigantic, rotting, pregnant tree within the first couple of hours. And the PvP is, if anything, more brutal than ever before. But a new Dark Souls game is always cause for celebration. A brand new world to explore that's full of mangled delights and teeming with new ways to crush the player. Whether you're a veteran or a total newcomer, overcoming and understanding Dark Souls 3 is as satisfying as gaming gets.
The 4X genre. So named because the goal of these games is, of course, to beat the 4 evil X's of Sid Meier in a series of escalating boss battles. No? Okay, so the 4X's are probably expand, explore, extreme, and extraterrestrial. Alright, I'm clueless. But the fact is, it doesn't matter if you're versed in the history of grand strategy games or not. Stellaris is the perfect introduction to diplomacy and empire building in the large, empty space physicists are now calling space. Even with the brilliantly backstabby Crusader Kings in their wing mirror, this might be Paradox's finest hour.
Doom might not have a compelling story to tell about government intrigue or the hubris of man, but it does have something that's much, much more satisfying. Jibbing. No, not gibbons, as in the Hylobattidae family of primates. Jibbing, as in those divine eruptions of gore and errant body parts that make us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Kind of like the way death metal makes you feel. Bliss. It's those old school sensibilities that ensure you can run around in Doom's corridors at blistering pace, pausing only to put your knee through a hellbeast's face or gouge out an eyeball. From start to finish, that's what you'll be doing, and it won't get tiring for a second.
When people mention 2016 and multiplayer in the same breath, there's certainly only one game they're talking about: Overwatch. Blizzard's first attempt at a shooter has captured the hearts and minds of PC gamers everywhere. That love comes from the incredibly tight balance between all 23 of its heroes, and how their abilities can either aid an ally or counter an enemy. Think of it as an incredibly intricate game of rock, paper, scissors, but with a lot more bullets involved.
If you've played Limbo, Inside will feel all too familiar. Boy in the Woods? Check. Puzzles with crates? Check. Your own gruesome death played over and over in hundreds of ways? Yeah, check. But this horror platformer soon morphs into something indescribable, which is just as well since it's better left a mystery. What I will say is this: when a masked man chases down that little boy and drowns him in a puddle, the fear hits you somewhere deep down. Ooh, someone leave a window open.
It must have once seemed bananas that World of Warcraft could be a game of 2016 in any capacity, launched as it was in 2004, a year when U2 had a #1 and all of their own teeth. Yet here we are, despite billions of dollars spent, no other MMO has beaten WoW. And in Legion, Blizzard have overcome the genre cliches they helped invent, asking you to find lost relics, stop demon overlords, and not collect even a single Borg gizzard.
The once Xbox exclusive Gears series finally found its way onto PC in 2016, and what a blood-drenched, gloriously hench experience it was. Gears of War 4 is instantly familiar in many ways. There are rifles with chainsaw bayonets, absurdly ugly enemies to butcher, and a plot so insane it involves using helicopter blades as a weapon. But it's also a refinement of everything that made the late 2000s such a great era for shooters. This is a comfortable, almost nostalgic ride through absolute carnage.
DICE's decision to turn the clock back on the Battlefield series was a bold one, but the shooter's increasingly popular brand of chaotic gameplay and dazzling fidelity have survived the time warp intact. Battlefield 1 is an epic wargame in every possible sense, and DICE have leveraged every theatre of war and burgeoning bit of tech from the conflict in order to make their shooter as vibrant and accessible as possible. The finished product is a million miles away from the dismal reality of trench warfare, but it's exactly as exhilarating and hectic as we've come to expect from the Swedish studio.
As if the addition of Sean Bean's dulcet tones wasn't enough for you, Firaxis went the whole hog with Civ 6. They overhauled the art style, made leaders feel like individual characters, beefed up the barbarians, and even gave religion its deserved role as a means of global domination. But in spite of all that change, fans of the franchise will feel immediately at home. At the end of the day, that's because Civ 6 is still about getting one over on your fellow man, whether that's by laying siege to their cities and starving their people, or by building more giant statues than them.
Respawned their mech battling FPS this year. It had a new coat of paint too, in a shade commonly known as single player campaign. And what a campaign it is. The tale of one man and his adorable robot, Titanfall 2 sees the universe's mythology fleshed out among some of the best set pieces you'll ever blast through. Always exciting and often clever, it also has the best shooting mechanics of the year, and that punchy industrial feel carries over to the multiplayer, which is still packed with inventive deathmatches.
The worst criticism you can level at Dishonored 2 is that it's just a little bit too much like the first Dishonored. But then, the first Dishonored was bloody brilliant, so it makes sense that we gave this one a perfect 10 in our review. That means a whole new world to explore, more political intrigue to become embroiled in, and best of all, more godlike superpowers that let you control, kill, and confuse Karnaka's denizens.
Forza Horizon 3 is the perfect open world racer. With over 300 cars, from grunty coupes all the way up to tear your face off hypercars, it's a playground for the petrol obsessed. Behind the wheel of your favourite machine, you can race across Australia at the Horizon Festival, be that in the events the game creates or the ones you design yourself. But it's the other activities that really make Horizon what it is. Insane bucket list events, reckless stunt jumps, and cross-country sprints are just a few of its many delights.
Who could have imagined that Watch Dogs, the series that made Batman boring by turning him into a weird uncle and calling him Aiden, would belong on this list? Well, anyone who paid attention to the hacking beneath all that miserable nonsense. Watch Dogs 2 delivers on the early potential and banishes the gloom by taking us to sunny San Francisco. The hipster hacktivists you landed with are a bit, how do you do, fellow kids? But Silicon Valley bosses make great villains, obviously.
And that's a wrap. If you've a different opinion about what the best game of the year was, please do mention it in the comments. We'll be more than happy to correct you.